Hello Year 12 Single Mathematicians. Just going to move on to the Year 2 Pure Book, Chapter 1 Algebraic Methods. I'm going to skip to 1.2 today and leave 1.1 for another time. Apart from 1.1, almost all of Chapter 1 is stuff you would have seen before, so we're going to prioritise that first and then come back to 1.1 because it's a relatively tricky topic anyway. So yeah, 1.2 is algebraic fractions, multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions. This was considered a difficult topic at GCSE, but now it's a relatively straightforward topic at A level. So the first pair of algebraic fractions you've got to multiply is the following: 3x plus 3 over 2 multiplied by 3 over x squared subtract 1. Now, when multiplying fractions, there are many ways to do this. So the way you're always encouraged to do it is you try to simplify the fractions as much as possible first, and then you perform the multiplication. So if there are any common denominators between the numerator and the denominators, then if there are any common factors between the numerator and denominator, you get rid of those first. But that's quite difficult to do with algebraic fractions. So the first thing you should always do is factorize everything. It's the only acceptable first step is to factorize everything. So the numerator factorizes to 3x plus 1. The denominator is already factorized. It's just the number 2. This numerator already factorized, just the number 3. This denominator is a pattern that you need to be able to spot relatively quickly. It's the difference between two squares, and then you've got a multiplication. Now, when you were just multiplying numbers back at GCSE, you could just get away with just multiplying numerators and multiplying denominators, but that's not going to work every single time for algebraic fractions. You try to simplify as much as possible. So you ask yourself the question right now: is there anything common between the numerators and the denominators? And the answer is yes. There's an x plus 1, which you can divide top and bottom by. Is there anything else common to the numerators and denominators apart from 1? No, that's it. That's the only common factor. Once you've removed all of the common factors, you then perform the multiplication. 3 times 1 times 3 is 9. 2 times x minus 1 times 1. Don't expand the brackets, just leave it as 2 brackets x minus 1. And that would be your final answer. So look at EG number 2, which is dividing by a fraction. Now, if these were numbers now, you're dividing by a half or dividing by 3/4 or dividing by any fraction, you should have been taught that dividing by a fraction is equivalent to timesing by the fraction flipped, or multiplying by the reciprocal. So the first thing you try to do is rewrite any division as a multiplication. So this is equivalent to that. So this method is called multiplying by the reciprocal. That's the proper mathematical name for it. You might have had a mnemonic such as keep, change, flip. You keep the first fraction as it is, you change the division to multiplication, and you flip the second fraction. But multiplying by the reciprocal is the correct way to describe it. And yeah, when you've got this, don't multiply yet. Factorize everything. X plus 2 factorizes to 1, brackets x plus 2. 2x plus 8 factorizes to 2, x plus 4. X squared subtract 16 is a pattern you are expected to spot. X plus 4, x minus 4, difference between two squares. 3x plus 6 factorizes to 3x plus 2. And again, before you multiply numerators and denominators, you try to cancel any common factors. There's an x plus 2, which cancels with an x plus 2. There's an x plus 4, which cancels with an x plus 4. And that's it. And the final answer to this would be 1 times 1 times 1 times x minus 4, which is just x minus 4, over 2 times 1 times 3 times 1, which is 6. X minus 4 over 6 would be the final answer to that. Now, the questions I would like you to complete, it's called exercise 1B, which is on page 6 in the textbook. And I'd like you to try question 2, and we'll go for the second, actually no, let's go for the first column. Then let's go for question 4. And then finally question 6. Probably could have just said evens and that would have been a lot quicker. But question 2, first column, question 4 and question 6. And that is it.